Hi, Jeremy Morgan from Delonix here, and today I've got Tim Mooney from 3D Survey, and I've asked Tim to share his experience. It's been how many years now, Tim?
I first hired here at Delonix in early 2016, so almost 4 years.
Going on 4 years. And Tim's visiting Cebu at the moment, so I thought this was a perfect opportunity to have Tim explain what it's been able to do for his business back in Australia, having the back-end support here. So, Tim, if you don't mind just sharing exactly what your business is in Australia and what you guys do.
So my business 3D Survey creates 3D models for architects and engineers. To do that, we laser scan buildings, which creates a point cloud of data. That then gets converted into a 3D model using different programs like Autodesk Revit. And I've found the staff here in the Philippines to be well and truly capable of understanding the complexities of advanced software, 3D software, virtual reality programs, point clouds, and the laser scanning technology. So it's a very high skill level of the staff that you can get here in the Philippines.
And my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is at the beginning you were the one physically going out doing the scanning in Australia when you bought your first 3D scanner, but then you came back and you were the one who also had to then convert that to the drawings before you hired your staff here, is that right?
Yeah, so the laser scanning process is quite efficient because the technology is very powerful. You set up a tripod instrument and it does a 360 rotation in 1 or 2 minutes depending on the resolution of the scanner settings. But then you end up with a massive amount of data, which can be like 10 gigabytes of data, and that can take often a week to convert into a 3D model. So the bulk of the work for my business was the converting the scan data into a CAD model, and fortunately that can be done, that can be outsourced, and in this case done here in the Philippines at a very competitive cost of labour. Yeah, it's just a fortunate scenario that the part of the production process that takes the longest can easily be outsourced by skilled labour over here in the Philippines.
So prior to you engaging, in this case our company, to find you staff, what sort of motivated you to look for expanding overseas rather than expanding local staff? Was it just on price, or was there some other factors that made you look outside of Australia?
Yeah, so I was doing a business coaching program in Australia, and they had all sorts of recommendations for marketing and social media and things like that. And one of their suggestions was outsourcing tasks that are fairly repetitive and monotonous. The classic example is like booking appointments with a call centre set up, or data entry, that kind of thing. But I think I've probably taken it to a much higher level by having staff that do converting point cloud data into 3D CAD models. It's not just the simple repetitive tasks that can be done offshore. It can actually be quite complex tasks.
Okay. And had you sort of tried to find those skill sets in Australia before recruiting overseas?
Yeah, so I'd hired a few people as casuals to start with, and some of those people were uni students, and there was issues where they would go on holidays, and all of a sudden I don't have staff for 3 months, and or they'd finish their degree and then they'd move interstate or something like that. And again, having casuals that are high skilled, it's a difficult thing to find. Whereas hiring staff here in the Philippines, straight off the bat, I hired my first employee full-time. If in Australia they could easily be earning around the sort of $40, $50 an hour mark, that's including superannuation and casual rates, sick days, all that sort of thing. Here in the Philippines, it's a massive reduction in labour costs compared to hiring an Australian-based worker and then covering, the rent, their desk, a computer, superannuation, all the other benefits, like holidays, sick days, that kind of thing. So, there is a massive difference in the cost. However, the quality of the output is virtually identical.
Awesome. And I guess what inspired me to speak to you today about your situation was you sort of found an angle where you could be even more competitive by overlapping the shifts sort of back to back. So not only are you getting a cost reduction, but you're also able to churn it out half the time.
So it's probably a unique situation for the product that I'm providing, but CAD modelling, 3D CAD modelling is very time consuming, and the way I set up my business is to have a day shift and a night shift, so that instead of a 3D model taking a week to produce, it could ideally be done in 2 or 3 days. And for architects and engineers that have been given the go-ahead for a project and they need to get the base building model to start with, to then get to work on the designs, that can make a massive difference. If there was a week delay, that delays every other trade in the process. Like if the architect's delayed, then the builders are delayed, and the whole project is delayed. So to have staff here in the Philippines working back-to-back shifts, that gives me the business or the service I'm offering a big advantage. It's just not that common for an architect firm in Australia or an engineering firm to have 2 shifts of degree qualified white collar workers coming in for that type of working arrangement. They may work long hours, maybe I think 9 to 5 doesn't really exist for anyone. It's probably more sort of 8 to 6 for many people. But when I'm having 2 shifts back to back, and because of the time zone difference, effectively, if they come in at 6 in the morning in the Philippines and go through till 3 in the afternoon, and then another shift comes in at 3 till midnight, so there's 2 9-hour shifts back to back. That's effectively 9 in the morning Australian time through to 3 a.m. So I don't think there's many architects or engineers that are doing those hours, like knocking off at 3 in the morning every day. And it's also by having 2 shifts, the quality is maintained. One person working till 3 a.m. is going to get burnt out and probably make mistakes. So there's definitely some benefits to having lower cost labour and multiple shifts in an offshore location in terms of dramatically increasing productivity.
That's awesome. And did you have any challenges at the beginning when you hired your first staff? And sort of, I know you've promoted here sort of every year since you started, but were there sort of challenges at the beginning when you were sort of trying to teach them remotely, or they basically know how to do the task and you were just sort of saying, well, here's the project?
So I've heard the story before that people will say they've got the dream VA, but in my case I do think I've got the dream employee. I was very lucky. The first guy I hired used to train people how to use 3D CAD. He had about 4 years experience as a teacher, so he knew the program, the 3D CAD program called Revit. He knows it absolutely backwards. Every feature that you can imagine, he's got lots of experience in. So right from the get-go, I had a really well-trained, experienced staff member. As for sort of ongoing training, there's a feature in Skype that I wasn't aware of originally, but I've made a lot of use of, where you can share your screen. So I can easily say to any one of my employees, can you share your screen? Suddenly the 3D model that they are working on pops up on my screen through the Skype program, and they can rotate it around, and sort of I can look at what they've been working on, and it's as though I'm standing next to them over here in Cebu, even though I'm in my office back in Australia. So the whole time we communicate through the headsets that we've got high definition webcams and high quality headsets with noise cancelling mics, so the sound comes through loud and clear. And that's actually another probably important point to make, that the files that we work with can be very large in file size. The point cloud data that I collect through the scanner can often be like 10 gigabytes in size, so it's way too big to email. Even Dropbox is out of the question a lot of the time. The system we use is to upload the data to a server, all 10 gigabytes using Telstra's NBN 100 package. That could take sort of 3 or 4 hours to upload. The guys here in the Philippines can download it just as quickly, and and sometimes that will be done overnight, and then so when they come in the morning, they've got a complete set of data for showing every aspect of a building in Australia, and then they can start working on the modelling of that. So it's the data transfer for when you're doing voice and video calls is also loud and clear.
Yeah, cool. And in terms of where your business was headed before you were outsourcing to, I guess opportunities would be a good word. I know we've had plenty of conversations about some ideas and things that now sort of has opened up as a result of having these extra resources. Mm-hmm. What has that enabled your, the direction of business and where, and how's that sort of changed your forward planning?
Yeah, so if I wasn't to use outsourced staff at a very competitive price, I would probably, have spent a lot of time and effort training one person and then hoping they would stay. To make them stay, you need to offer them higher wages ultimately.
In Australia?
In Australia,
what's the sort of annual rate? You said $40-50 an hour. Is that for a casual or?
Oh, that would be a contractor. But even then, if you were to hire someone full time, that's like an experienced Revit modeler, draftsperson, that kind of thing.
How much per year?
I would not be surprised if it was, say, 60-odd thousand a year plus super, and then there's other costs you've got to cover as well. Just like the computer, internet. There's the software licensing in Australia for the CAD programs. That's more expensive than getting the licenses here in the Philippines.
Really?
There's a setup with CAD, the CAD software, that you've got to buy the license in the country where it's being used. Otherwise, everyone would go to China, buy a bunch of licenses, and then get back to the US or somewhere. And there is it's a little bit more price competitive for software licenses in some countries, like here in the Philippines.
Okay, I didn't know that. It's a bonus as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So back to the direction.
Yeah. So ultimately, I would have hired someone in Australia. It would have taken probably more time and effort to train them. If I hired someone in Australia, it would have cost the business more, obviously in wages for that Australian-based employee. It would have meant I would have been doing a lot more jobs and just to cover costs and probably not making as much profit and
less time, less profit.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been as much room for expansion with being able to pick and choose the right jobs, deliver a better quality product, which I guess in turn results in repeat business. basically my prices would have had to probably double to get the same result as what I'm achieving now.
The prices you're charging clients?
Yeah, correct.
So you're able to offer them a rate of half what you would normally because of
it's hard to know what would have happened
Sure.
in a different situation, but I can keep very competitive pricing by having low cost labour. That's which means I virtually get every job I pitch for at the moment because I can outcompete many other businesses that are not outsourcing their parts of their production. And that maybe they're offering a big name firm will just charge top dollar prices because that's what they do. As a result, I'm getting to work with a lot of large corporations like all the big commercial real estate agents, big architect firms, property developers, like banks and institutions that own big properties like industrial estates or commercial buildings, shopping centres, that kind of thing. So it's allowed me to win business with big customers because I can be quite price competitive.
Awesome. All right, well, I appreciate your time, Tim. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.